Welcome to the Daily Energize Podcast, where you'll get a jolt of energy and a quick tip to help you conquer your day. Now here's your host, the Prince of Positivity himself, Spencer Jones.
Hey, Energizer! Welcome to another episode of the Daily Energize. Can you take a quick look to your left, look to your right? Do you see clutter around? Like random stuff lying around? I see a little bit here, but thankfully not too much. Okay, kind of weird, right? Asking about clutter and the things around you. Maybe you see it, maybe you don't, or maybe you have it, maybe you don't. But that is the focus of today's episode, and well, kind of talking how it can de-energize us. It can be an energy vampire. That's right, clutter. I know, crazy, right? But we're going to dig into that and talk about that shortly. But before we do, thank you as always for being here and joining me. Please hit follow and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode of the Daily Energize. I'm just so awesome having you here. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time and energy to be here and join us. I'm truly, truly grateful. All right. Today's episode, as I talked about, clutter. Clutter. I was debating how to intro this. Like, do I drop a book? Do I shuffle papers? I don't know. So I just did the intro the way we did the intro, obviously, but there can be clutter everywhere. So let me ask you, are you a person who has clutter around? Clutter as in just different piles and different things, other places, and I don't know how more else to describe it, just stuff everywhere. Are you that type of person, or are you pretty organized? Now, for me, maybe it's something all boys do as they grow up. I'm not sure. I think probably the majority do. But I was extremely messy. I was a messy kid. I left piles in different places. And there was only a handful of times when I remember that there was just like a pathway in the bedroom to get places. But that happened very rare. My parents cracked down on that, which is probably a good thing. But I do remember, even when I was a teacher, that there's times I had piles on my desk, right? I remember this when I was in high school and teacher. I had piles on my desk, like 2 or 3 piles. And they were, I wouldn't say neatly organized, but they were piles. But I knew what was where in it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's here. And I knew it was in the bottom half or in the center of this pile, right? Or whatever it is. It was like my own little filing system. But it was clutter. And I can't tell you how amazing it felt once we cleaned. Once I organized and put things away in their proper places, it felt freeing. It felt energizing. It's like I could get that breath of fresh air. The struggle part was back in the day that I couldn't remember where I put things because I just put it where it looked nice as opposed to being very intentional about putting it in the proper place. Well, now I tried to be much more organized and not have clutter all around. But I'll be honest, it still happens, right? It still happens at points. Our office is kind of the catch-all space, excuse me, especially when we prep for trips and events. And when we come back. So I recently came back from a trip and my office was cluttered. We had stuff on the desk and things on the floor, backpacks and whatever. It wasn't bad. It was just we came back from a trip and this was where we were unpacking it all and getting organized. And I could tell you that my energy, I just felt more stressed, more on edge because of it. And I'm like, isn't this interesting that, I feel more uptight. My energy's not as free-flowing. So I took some time, took me 20 minutes, half hour tops, to put things where they belong and kind of reorganize, even clean the office a little bit. And as soon as I did that, I walked back in, the sense of relief washed over me. I felt calmer, I felt happier, freer. It's like I got that breath of fresh air and I could live again. And it made me realize, the clutter in our life can be an energy vampire. Now, it's not necessarily an energy vampire to everyone, but to some people it is. Right? Think about it. If you walk into a person's house or room that's messier than you usually are, I bet you notice you feel like your energy just kind of starts to clam up and maybe you get on edge or you feel uncomfortable there as opposed to when it's clean and organized. Now, I'm not here to tell you that everything needs to be, spick and span and spotless and super organized. No, it doesn't have to be. But I will tell you that the more organized things are, the more your energy flows freely. It's like a house that has a bunch of stuff on the walls. And I know people who love, it seems like they love covering every square inch with furniture and paintings and pictures and whatever else. Like, okay, cool. If that works for you, awesome. But it feels almost suffocating. And if we could just remove one thing or change things around, all of a sudden, it's like I get that breath of fresh air. I can breathe. So I invite you to take a look this week and just be aware. You don't have to change anything, but be aware. What's clutter in your life, and does it affect you? Is it an energy vampire in your day and in your life? If it is, what can you do about it if you want to? If you don't have anything like that, then cool. You're good to go. Maybe just raise your awareness that, hey, clutter can be an energy vampire for some people. But I'm guessing that you have some of those clutter energy vampires around that just takes a little bit of time to organize. That takes the dedication, the motivation, all that stuff to like, all right, I'm going to do this. And then you clean and you can take that breath of fresh air. So I hope you'll join me today and this week into just being aware of the clutter in our life and see what we could do to clean it and organize it. All right, that's all I have for today. Thank you for hopping in, joining me. Keep being you, keep shining your amazing light with the world. And until next time, I will catch you later.
Yeah.